Arriving at the camps. When people arrived at the concentration camps during the Holocaust, they were subjected to a dehumanising and traumatic process known as selection. This process determined the fate of the incoming prisoners, who were often exhausted, disorientated and terrified after enduring long and arduous journeys on deportation trains. Upon arrival at the concentration camp, prisoners were met with chaos, confusion and intimidation as they are herded off the trains and into the camp grounds. They are often separated by gender and age, with families torn apart and individuals stripped of their personal belongings and identity. The selection process was brutal, an arbitrary procedure where SS officers, camp guards and medical personnel decided the fate of the incoming prisoners. Men, women and children were forced to line up for inspection, where they were scrutinised for signs of weakness, illness or perceived unfitness for labour. Those deemed fit for labour were typically sent to camp barracks, where they were assigned to gruelling and often deadly tasks, such as forced labour, construction work or industrial production. Prisoners who were deemed unfit for work, including the elderly, disabled and young children, were often sent directly to the gas chambers for immediate extermination. They were not even registered as inmates, and no official records of their deaths exist. Upon selection for labour, prisoners were stripped of their personal belongings, clothing and dignity. They were given prison uniforms, had their heads shaved, and from May 1940 were assigned a prison number to replace their name. The numbers were originally sewn to their prison uniforms, but as the daily mortality rate rose, this was seen as an inefficient system, an impractical way of identifying the dead. In Auschwitz, tattooing of the prisoner numbers was introduced, usually on the left forearm. More than 400,000 inmates were forcibly tattooed, and it served as a permanent reminder for many survivors of the horrors they endured. The dehumanisation and abuse continued as prisoners faced starvation, overcrowding, harsh living conditions, physical punishment and psychological torment at the hands of camp guards. Those selected for labour were subjected to brutal working conditions, meagre rations and constant surveillance by guards. Many prisoners succumbed to exhaustion and disease and malnutrition. For those sent to extermination camps, the process was swift and merciless, with victims herded into gas chambers and murdered en masse. Their bodies deposed in a crematorium on mass graves. The arrival and selection process at concentration camps marked the beginning of a harrowing and nightmarish existence for the prisoners, who faced unimaginable suffering, loss and dehumanisation at the hands of the Nazi regime.